If you've been watching any of my previous videos, you're probably starting to see a pattern here. I talk a lot about this book and that book. This year alone, I've read more books than I've ever had in any one year. And it's certainly not 100 books like maybe some people you'd have heard say they can read. I read 28 books, and for me, it's quite an achievement considering before it would have taken me weeks on weeks, sometimes even months to finish one book. So I want to share some of the things that have helped me read more, and hopefully next year I'll read even more books. First of all, let me start by saying reading many books isn't a competition, and you shouldn't be comparing how many books other people are reading. People are different, and we have different speeds in which we're capable of taking in information. And the books people choose to read are of different sizes and interests and so on. Reading more is good, of course, hence why I'm making this video, but it's not just a numbers game. So essentially, aim to read more books. Just remember, you're not competing with anyone but yourself. So the first tip I want to share towards reading more is to schedule your reading time. Reading at a designated time each day guarantees that you'll be able to finish the book you're reading sooner because of that consistency of reading at the specific time. I noticed with myself, the reason it took me months sometimes to finish a book was that I would read it as and when I felt like it. And honestly, most of the time I actually didn't even feel like reading. And because other things took precedence, I never really made the time to read. So instead, now what I do is I read first thing when I wake up while having a cup of tea. And I find it easier then because it's quiet and I can focus better while my mind is fresh. Pick a time that works best for you and your schedule. Some people prefer reading just before bed. So if that's the case for you, then plan to be in bed an hour or half an hour before so that you can read before you fall asleep. The next point is be consistent. This ties in with the previous point really, but the point here is that even on the days when you're super busy, try and read just a few pages so that you can build that habit. I aim to read at least 20 pages, but when I'm really busy, maybe about 10 pages. And it may not seem like much, but if I'm doing it consistently, I'm actually progressing through the book rather than letting it gather dust on the shelf. Instead of reading paper books, I've chosen instead to use this bad boy right here. This is the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite, and that's my next tip, using an ebook reader. The obvious advantage of using an e-reader is that you can easily access a few hundred books at any given time, although you'll never really read 100 books at a time. So for me, the real advantage has been the many features the Kindle has to offer, the portability of the device, and because I'm a bit of a tech head anyway, any gadget that's meant to make my life easier, I'll jump on it. We'll talk about the features of the Kindle on another video. Another advantage of this tiny Kindle device is that I can fit it in my pocket, meaning whenever I get downtime here and there, and when I'm out and about, I can read a few pages, helping me go through the book much quicker. The next point is to take away all distractions when it's time to read. Of those distractions, the biggest of them all is usually your phone. When I'm reading, I like to tuck away my phone and everything else, and I just keep my Kindle with my notebook for taking notes. And if you're someone who reads more from your phone, I'll suggest switching to a paper book or a dedicated Kindle e-reader, or any other e-reader for that matter, to take away the potential distraction from your phone notifications. I'm generally a slow reader, but I found that half the time I've been slow in reading, mainly due to distractions and lack of focus. And getting better reading has to come through practice. You'll gradually get better at taking in content with time. Another method of getting through more books is listening to them. Audible is the biggest audiobook platform I know of, and they've got a huge library. For me though, I tend to listen to autobiographies in audiobook format as they're usually in the structure of a story, so it's a lot easier to listen to them in that way. But when it comes to factual non-bio books, I stick to text. While listening to a book, I also tend to have the listening speed set at 1.5x at a minimum, and then I increase it at different points in the book. One good thing about an audiobook is that you can listen to it while you're doing those mundane tasks like chopping onions, and you will still carry on to make time to read the other book, which is in text format, at your scheduled time. And that's 2 books at the same time you're reading then. The last point I want to share is that don't be afraid to put away a book that's not for you. Many of us feel obliged to finish a book just because a friend said we should read it. But if you've tried reading the book and you find it's not interesting for you, then put it away and get another book. I honestly think there's nothing wrong with that. Otherwise, you could find yourself wasting another week or so on something you're just not interested in. I'll be honest, I never used to like reading. As a kid, my mom bought us these bedtime storybooks to read, and I never touched them. My older brother, though, he liked to read. And for me, I think it's because I never found them interesting, but I liked encyclopedias, and later on in school, that's what I enjoy spending time reading. And the thing is, if you're reading a book that you don't enjoy, you can easily find your mind wandering off into something else other than what's in front of you, which is this book. For me, this is a sign to put the book down, and when more often than not, I find myself staring at a page and not taking anything in, and I'm sure you can relate. And then I will not even touch the book for a few days or even a few weeks sometimes, or actually even forget to finish the book. So there you go, some quick tips on how to read more books in the year to come. So point number 1, schedule it. Number 2, be consistent. So set yourself a target number of pages to read a day, something that's achievable. Number 3, use an e-reader if you can. And I totally understand this won't be for everyone, but give it a go if you've never tried it. Number 4, remove distractions, your mobile phone or whatever. Number 5, try and use audiobooks if you've never tried it. And last but not least, ditch the book you don't like and just don't waste your time. That's me down on this one. Catch you on the next one. Peace out.